Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome back to another stream here on the Aviator 268 channel, where we are taking the 737-900ER from Sacramento, California to Salt Lake City. It is good to have you in the house. Check in. Just send a hello in the chat if you're here. I want to give you a shout out. I appreciate you for stopping by this evening. It is April 26th, 2026, as we take out this nice 737-900 to Salt Lake City. Registration today is November 870 Delta November, and our flight time today is approximately 1 hour, and let me just get that information pulled up here. 1 hour and 17 minutes airtime, and it is 1 hour and 47 minutes gate to gate. We'll see if we can get that a little bit shorter than that, but we'll see what the winds do for us. Flying the cruise level of flight level 370 as we head over to Salt Lake City. So once again, welcome. If it is your first time here, we just say welcome to you. If you are a regular here, thank you so much for stopping by. And for all of our first time guests, please make sure that you, if you will, click on that subscribe button. It will definitely help the channel out. And of course, once you hit the subscribe button, make sure that you hit the notification bell as well, so that you know the next time that we go live. Also, if you haven't already done so, the Discord channel is also available. There you can interact with me outside of a streaming time. Simply type !Discord and you will get the link that will take you directly there. Join, and of course, if you would like to see a particular flight on the stream, feel free to share it in the category that's there, and we'll definitely do our best to accommodate that. All right, time now is 5 minutes after 7 local time, and I just want to get everything jumping. We're supposed to have some colleagues playing along, or flying along rather, with us over to Salt Lake. As of right now, I'm not sure if there's anybody else online, but as of right now, we're here. Nevertheless, we will still work it out. It is a beautiful airport here in Sacramento, California. And so let's jump right into our flight deck. And here we are in the flight deck. Let's just go through some flows. Overhead, make sure everything is set like it should. The previous crew would have left the aircraft in a particular state, and so we just want to make sure that that is set. Cool. Running through. We are on ground power. Our battery. Then we have fast supersonic off, and electrical pumps are off. Let's put on the restart fans. Those remain off, and lights are set. Cool. On the pedestal, let's put in 122.8 here, and we'll get the CTAF information shortly. Let's see. Airport. Let's see what our CTAF is going to be. 125. So we'll put that in 125.7, and we'll switch over to that just in the event that somebody's flying overhead, and they'll make announcements on 22.8. Cool. This aircraft is a new updated version of the pedestal, where you have this MMR versus the type radios. and the newer version of the transponder. But I have no idea if this is how it actually is in the real 737 for Delta. We have to try to find that out. If not, then we just revert it to what would have been the old radio stack and also the transponder. Nevertheless, we press on, so we are here. Everything looks good. Aircraft is empty, and let's head down to our EFB and go to our electronic flight bag, and let's get our data from SimBrief. So call sign is 1342. Alternate is, we have a few alternates. We have ID Twin Falls and Boise, and then our call index is 46. Aircraft registration SV number 4 is 870 Delta November. 737-900 freeway is 138.1, and our route distance is 511, and we'll double check that once we get in there. Get the weather package real quick. Arrival and departure. Currently weather in Sacramento, wind 200 at 15 gusts and 20 knots. Fun. 10 miles and broken at 6,500. Temperature 19. Pretty chilly still. And dew point is 04. Altimeter 2988, and we can have that set 2988. There we go. That's set. So we're good to go. Then we can go to our charts, and we can set the, oops, not that. We can set the airport chart, the parking spots, just so we can have, oh, not the coordinates, parking spots. The departure today is the Scouttown, or these things sometimes you don't even know what they are, but it's Scouttown. I'm gonna say Scouttown 4, and then for our arrival into Salt Lake, we're using the Utes 2. Scroll down, Utes 2, and based on the weather, 280 at 10 at 12, so that means we'll be using, when we look at the airports, using the north. Stand by 1 second. My apologies. So we'll be using the north arrivals. So that will be landing using runway 34 left. So we'll get that as well one time, just to set up the aircraft. So once we're ready for those, we'll have the pinned. And for the departure as well, we want to have runway 17. Actually, yeah, 17 left available if we have to do a return. All right, cool. So that's already set. So let's now, we should have been doing this before as well. Let's go to best actions. Quest. Clock fuel today is 18008. So we're going to set that right here, 18008. Let me just make that easy. So we have that there, getting itself attached. Once it's there, then we go ahead and get the box up. And while we're doing that, we can do the before start checklist down to the line. So flight deck and exterior inspections have been completed. Pre-flight procedure has been completed. IRS modes are nav and display switches are normal and auto. Emergency exit lights are on. Passenger signs are off because we're about to fuel. We can click start now. And the window heat switches are on. Pressurization panel is set. Pressurization mode selector is auto. Remote control panel is not set. We'll do all of that once we begin doing the setup of the FMC. Oxygen mask and regulator interphone is checked. Altimeters checked to 90088 set 3 times. And flight navigation instruments are checked. Warning and oscillator lights checked. Anti-skid light is off. Landing gear down through green. GPWS is checked. Speed brake lever is down detent. You can see that here. It is down in detent. And the engine start levers are cut off, and the thrust levers are checked and closed. And let's to the line. And so we'll leave it there for now. Cool. Yo, what's going on, Nathan? Welcome, 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 bro. I see we have Delta 31 and United 3, United 238. Yeah, so we got some friends online right now. Let's check them out. There we go. So we got the United 737 and Delta 737. Great. So they are here. Welcome, fellas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, cool. So let's get this show on the road. We're going from Sacramento to SMF, and our gate is Alpha 3 if it takes it. Sometimes it doesn't. Oh, there it is. So let's go to route, and we're going to let the PMDG aircraft give us that information by the sim brief route, and we're only going to select route. Now, I could do set payload and all of that, but I'm going to actually do that via the EFB. But what I want to do, I want to get the fuel on board first before I click this button, which is going to be here on the weight and balance. Because once I select this, then it's going to automatically fill all the information that's here. So I just want to wait a while before I do that. Let the fuel get on board, and then we can get that sorted out. So we're going to load that information in right now. So we have SMF to SLC, Delta 1342. Route uplink is loading. Once it's loaded, then we'll go ahead and check it out. Long ago, we didn't have these options where we were able to actually just uplink. You literally had to sit down and check this route out. Let me show you right quick. So you'll have the route here. So this is the route, Scouton 4, Marcus, Q124, slowed, then to Fleek and using 2. You had to actually do all of this in the FMC a few years back. But because of, well, with the advent of technology, you now could just uplink using SimBrief. The dispatch is already done, and you just simply come into the aircraft, you type in the code route. Whatever the procedure is in the different airplanes, you're able to do that. And the system, it works very well when you have these long flights to do, cross the ponds and all of this stuff, to sit down and do a whole, just put that in there. Pre-flight, it would take at least an hour to get done with all the things that you have to do, especially if you're going to do it based on real world procedures, or at least some sort of set of procedures. Great. So we're going to go from here to our departure arrival, and we're departing off of runway 17 left, and Venus Scouton 4, and our transition is Marcus, as we see here. Then Q124 to Sloan and so on, and Fleek and Utes 2. So then we go back to index, and we'll go to the arrival page, and we set Aylex 34 left is what we're going to come in on, and we're using the Utes. So we page down Utes, and Fleek is our transition. And if we check our charts real quick, and we look at the arrival runway, you can do the pinned. Let's see. Aylex runway 34 left. The Aylex gives us putter, Camry, Dunlop, and then flag, and then Juax for that. Coming in from the south. So we're taking, let's see what the star says. Utes coming from Fleet. So from the west side. So Fleet, Boneville, Knoll, and Kiwa, Utes, and then we're using, let's see what it says with the, right, so Aylex from Utes track, Google, then to Bush at 12,000. So we come Utes, Google, Bush, then to Maze. What's that? Mary's. Then I'll track cross syrup at 11,000. So that, yeah, so we get, instead of coming Dougie to Jack, we'll go Google, Bush, Mary's, and then southbound to syrup at 11,000 feet. Then we make the left turn towards the runway Aylex for the 34. So we can say Camry is what we could use, which will set us right up here. Or do we want it from me? Let's actually check it out here. Go up to flight plan, and we'll go to legs and just step through it. Fleet, Boneville, and Utes, Google, and then coming up from right. So we can then take, we can simply take the Camry. And that looks pretty good. Great. Let's double check to make sure we don't have any discontinuities. So let's check this back. We have Sloan to Fleet. Double check. That's the Sloan Direct Fleet to join use. Then we can activate that. Execute. So we have our fuel on board. We can release that. Actually, I'm going to leave that there. And then we're going to bring the EFB down to the center console, weight and balance, and then we're going to click load from airplane. The fuel is going to change slightly. So let's look at the payload. So the payload is 0, and then I'm going to check load plane from SimBrief. It's going to do that. Let's see what our fuel is. Fuel is 1808. All right. So we could do, I just wanted to have 1810. All right, so it's fine. It's not that far. Okay. And so now we can actually go ahead and do GSX. So we'll turn on the electronic pumps. Yeah, we'll start it out. And then we can call for GSX to do its thing, which is prepare the board. The GSX is going to want to actually put in information now. So let's see. It's supposed to have 20 and 134. Let's see if it's going to do that or it's going to change it. So there it is. So see, it changed. Oh my goodness. So the sim or the PMDG or however it's done in the system, whatever it was talking about, it actually had first class full and 134 in the back. But GSX is like, nah, we gonna have 4 people in the front and 150 in the back. I'm kind of liking the balance at 20, so I'm actually gonna change that and put it back to 20 and 134 just because. So 20 in the front. I mean, it's still gonna give us 138.1 anyway, so it's not really a big problem. 20 and 134. I know a lot of these non-revs will be happy because they're part of that 20 for the hour flight over to Salt Lake. They're in business class or first class if you like. All right, so you guys are with fuel rate of 138.1. All right, perfect. Oops, wrong button. The aircraft is now getting itself set up with PMDG, GSX, loading the bags. I'm gonna do a radio check just now. It looks like a nice picture. So I can get the fellas in the shot as well. Good shot. There we go. All right, let's get that set up. So that's being done as the airplane is being boarded. While that's happening, we can get our APU started. We turn on the forest fuel pump and start the APU. We can get the sequence on. And once that's ready, we switch over to the APU. Go down to Perfinite and we can request the Perfinite, which is going to come from the right side here, given that the aircraft has been loaded. So we can do that. And all this is going to be coming from SimBrief, which will give us all what we set in. So it will give us the actual costing SVUs, what the reserves would have been, and we can check that via the flight plan. So for our fuel burn, we have 40, let's see, 4.2 as our alternate plus 1.5, and the taxi fuel, so that should give us the 4.2 plus the 3.6, the contingency fuel. All of these should give us the 7.6 that's actually here, 7.8. So we will execute that. This is saying that we can't go to flight level 370, so we'll leave 350 in as it is for right now, and then we will go to our next limit, our N1 limit, which is why PMDG allowed us to do this way versus having to keep switching since we're working here. So we go to our performance tool, and we're going to be taking off runway 17 left, and we import from the aircraft and get the weather, then we will calculate. So flap 5, takeoff to 44 is our selected temperature. So we do select temperature, takeoff to 44, which gives us a rating of 91.0. Then we'll use flap 5, and the weather here is 200 at 50. And 0 on the slope. And we have a CG of 22. 24. So that gives us a trim of 5.41, and based on the performance, we have 149, 150, 154. So 149, 150, 154. And while we're here, we just put 154 in the IS window on the MCP, and then we can start our flight directors and our arm the auto throttle. And there we have our passengers coming online, coming on board, sitting in first class and coach. Not sure why I'm having those sound spikes, but hopefully those will dissipate as we continue. Something running in the background, hopefully it's Alright, so we are set with this as our takeoff reference page, and that's cool. And we would then go back to our legs page, route data, and we're going to request the winds. Currently we're to land at 10.5. Let's get the route data in. Once that comes in, we'll make sure that that sets as it's supposed to based on our 5x5. How me? Roger. That, there's a fourth person. So we have, yep, there we go. So everybody is online that's supposed to be on. Nice. Alright, let's load this weather. And we will set that. Then we go to our descent page, forecast, and we'll load the wind in here. And we will set that. Great. So 10.5, I think it was 10.1 that was earlier. So with the wind in now, then it gives us a better reading of what our arrival fuel is going to be. Just to cross check, we're supposed to have 511 in terms of our miles to where we got to go today for our trip. 511, and we have 508. Close enough. So we're not way off with anything. Our ET is 1 hour and 17 minutes, and flight level 370. However, based on our weight, aircraft says that she can go up to 370, so we'll take her up to 370 as per it. That's going to be our max, and then we need to run the winds one more time to verify that. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and do our departure briefing as we need to now. Let's see how many passengers are currently left to come online. We have 86 out of 154, so we have a few. We are missing one thing though, and that is my clearance. Since there isn't one online, since there isn't a control online, I would have gotten my spot code of 6334. So let's put that 6334, and that sets. So if a controller comes online, we should. I realize that's some of them they would decide to give you a new squad code nonetheless. All right, so it is what it is. Let's put that in there. 10.5 was what we had before. Let's go to our forecast here and load that. I'm gonna change these in a while when we get airborne, just so we can have a better descent planning. But for right now, let's leave it as it is. So for our progress speed, 10.5. All right, so we're still within the same limit, so we're good. All right, so let's now get ourselves ready for the departure briefing. And so for our departure briefing today, we are leaving out of Sacramento. It is a beautiful departure. It's going to be a little bumpy because we have some gusty winds out of the, we'll call that the southwest. So current weather right now is 215 gusting and 20. It is 10 century miles, so good visibility. Broken clouds at 6,500, temperature 192.04, altimeter 29088, and we have 29088 set. So we're good with that. And for our departure out of here, we are, let's get our charts up for the airport. We are at Alpha 3, which is on the southeastern side of the airport. And for runway 17, we are hoping to push back off the gate, then via Charlie 3 take Delta all the way down to 17 left for our departure today. Departure frequency is on 122.8, and once we get airborne, and our tower or CTAF is 125.7, and we are actually on that and got a radio check, so we're good to go where that is concerned. For the departure today, we're going to be using the Skeleton 4, which says to us that we are departing. Where's that part? So climb on initial heading 168 to 540, then left turn direct to Skeleton at or above 2300, and then on transition maintain ATC altitude. I expect flight level 5 minutes after departure. Top altitude is not on there. We don't have ATC, so we're going to choose our top altitude since we're on the route above flight level 140, so sorry, 14,000. So we're going to set our top altitude to be 14,000 as of right now. So we set 14,000, and we can set our five by 5, and the heading is what? 168. So we'll set 168. 5. 168. So we'll have that set 168, and we can now arm VNAV and great. So we already have this into our box, which is left off after Skeleton, then to, let's see, the Danger, Marcus, and then McCord, Sloan, then on the arrival. As of it says right now, we have 154 souls on board. In terms of any threats, there really isn't much threats right after departure. Aircraft, the area is pretty flat around the airfield, and once we cross above 2300 and we continue flying, we will cross danger at above 9,000, which will clear us for those mountains that are on the east side. Weather is pretty good, and we don't have any other concerns about the aircraft. Aircraft is pretty good as well, tip-top shape, brand new airplane, as a matter of fact, we'll call it that. And outside of that, we have no issues. For our departure off of runway 17, if there's any emergencies at or below V1, we'll stop, close the thrust levers, and we'll put the flaps down to flaps 40. I guess he's not waiting for us today. We'll stop for any warning that will cause the aircraft to be unflappable. Above V1, once we stop, we close the thrust, and then we'll assess the situation. If anything, we'll then taxi off the runway via Bravo. What is this? Via Delta 9. And once we've assessed that everything is fine, then we'll come back around for a second attempt. Above V1, if we have an engine failure, we'll climb to 3,000 feet and we will fly straight out. We have no sense of there's no terrain, no terrain in front of the airport or in front of us, and I'm in flight, so we'll hold at a designated point once we get airborne, and we will assess, come back around line of runway 17 left. We're well below our landing weight, so we have no issues with a runway of 8,600 meters, 1,800 feet. Right, there's no questions, then we are good to go. Departure briefing is complete, and so we can run below the line. Stabilizer trim and cutout switches are normal. Fire one is set. Radios and transponder and radar are set and checked. Rudder and aileron trim 5.4 is where it is, so we will put that down to 5.41, which is somewhere about there. So, and flight attendant briefing is complete. Parking brake is set. Departure briefing is complete. Logbook is checked. Fuel is 18.0 and is on board and sufficient for the flight. We have 154 people on board and they are ready. So and we can go ahead and close the doors. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Delta 1342 with service to Salt Lake City. This is your captain speaking. We are ready and set up in the front. Last bags have been placed on board. Today our flight time is going to be 1 hour and 47 minutes take off the touchdown. And we're expecting a little bump on the departure, so we're asking that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened about you. Remember, your flight attendants are there primarily for your safety. So any instructions that they give you, please make sure that you follow them. If there's anything we can do to make your flight more comfortable, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll talk to you a little bit more in the flight once we get airborne about our arrival. Once again, thank you for choosing Delta and welcome aboard. All right, cool. So we have all that set and we can go ahead now and run the flows to get ourselves ready for departure. Let's close the ship up. Get door management, and we're going to close everybody up.
I recommend the traffic guard. There's a 1G4 is pushing up to the west, caution traffic guard.
Great. Parking brake is set. So we can go ahead and tell GSX, let's go. And we press push and stop. Oh, need to remove the chocks, which is going to release everything else. Okay, we'll do that.
Release parking brakes, please.
Sacramento traffic. Good evening, Delta 1342. Pushing from Alpha 3. Parking brake release. Oh, wait, didn't even run that checklist. Pushback doors are closed. Hydraulic panel is set. Fuel panel is set. Pilot door closed and locked. Anti-collision lights are on. Air conditioning panel is set and transponder is set to on. Everybody is pushing. Everybody is pushing. Love to see it. Love to see it. So we should push with our tail towards the United. Let's see what's gonna happen. All right, start sequence is gonna be 2, then 1. The start engine number 2. Wait for 25, and there we go. I really enjoy the sounds of Boris. Boris, man, you did an excellent job with this airplane in terms of the sound. Seriously on point. Love it. Let's not touch the United now. Which further we're gonna go. And stop. Perfect. That's beautiful. Parking brake is now set. Start engine number 1. N2 is rising. Waiting for 25% N2. Then we'll throw the switch. 21, 2, 3, 4, and there's 5. EGT is rising. N1 is rising. We got fuel flow.
Unlocking gear.
Start a cutout. And stabilize.
Bypass pin removed.
After
Left
start
is clear.
flow.
Right is clear.
Roger. Alright, so there goes the flag waving. Thank you, brother. See you next time through. Alright. Waesto flight control check. Rudder left, rudder right, neutral. Left, go right, neutral, go back, go forward. And for those who want to see what's going on, left, right, left, fully right. And there we go. Okay. Pull up. 5. And let's run the after takeoff, after start checklist. After start checklist, generators are on, probe heat on, anti-ice not required, air conditioner panel set, brakes RTO. Taxi checklist tab, after start checklist is complete. Taxi checklist, flaps 5, green light, and 5 set. Flight controls had checked, and taxi checklist is complete. Delta 13, 42, taxi to runway 17 left via Delta, and with the company Delta 1342. All right, so landing lights coming on, taxi lights and rudder turn off lights coming on.
Runway 17 right by
You guys going 17 right or 17 left?
right.
And they're like taxi boy. So everybody's going 17 right, or somebody coming with me to 17 left? All right, I'm going 17 left, so we're gonna taxi down to Delta. All right, so let's go. I'm using 17 left. Delta 1342 is using 17 left. Alright, so here. So we take Charlie 3, then left onto Delta. Turn on our weather radar. I guess everybody's using 17 left now. And clear right, clear left. Nathan's still using 17 right. Cool. Alright, so we got 2 going 17 right, 2 going 17 left. Alright. That could actually work out better because we'll then have some space in between us. That's fine. Yeah, seems like it. And then I think that's actually pretty cool because the delay with the guys going to 17 right will have some space between us. If you've ever been in a 737 before, that's exactly how this plane sounds. It sounds beautiful. Reviewing our departure for this evening. Departure via the Scout. It's 4. And once we take off, we'll turn left to a must cross continent 2,300 or above that. And again, at or below V1, we'll stop for anything or any ICAS warning and anything out the aircraft unflappable. We'll come to a complete stop, close the thrust levers, and we'll put the flaps on flaps 40. At or above V1, we'll continue to take off into the air, and we will clean up the aircraft, climb 3,000 feet, and we will make an assessment. If we have to come back around and land, we'll land on runway 17 left. We have the approach. Didn't type it in, but we have the approach already set up for runway 17 left. So guys, technically what I should have done, I should have put it in a route 2 on the pad. So in route, I should have done route 2 and created a different one in the event that we have to do a return. But we'll leave that out for now. The next time we do a stream, I'll be sure to make sure I do that for this one. Alright, so it's a battle of the who's ready to go now. Sacramento traffic, Delta 1342, holding short runway 17 left behind departing traffic. Sacramento traffic Delta 1342 land.
Departure, giving for like 2-3 minutes.
Sacramento traffic Delta 1342 land up on runway 3, correction, runway 17 left. Sacramento. Right, so let's get our aircraft online and we will throw the strobes on.
Approaching
checklist.
17
trim
left.
is 5.41. Flaps 5, green light. Windows closed and locked. Auto throttle is arm. Recall is checked. Runway is 17 left. 17 left, and the
On
scouted
runway 17
4.
left.
First fix is scouting, and the departure briefing is complete. Flight attendants have been notified. That was a beautiful turn on, not any overshooting. That's great, looking good. Delta 1348, you are number 2. Sorry, 1346, my bad. All right, 1346 is up. And Delta 1342 is holding for another 2 minutes. Traffic call passing 3,000.
It's only call passing 3,000. And Sacramento traffic Delta 21, we are 4,000.
Roger. There he is. Check the traffic. Yeah, traffic is. Oh, there we go. United standby. We'll be number 3. You'll be number 4. Just waiting for the other Delta to call past. Fireliners radar transponder is set. Engine starts to produce a continuous exterior lights are set. And we are ready to go. Roger. Sacramento traffic Delta 1342. Takeoff runway 17 left. Sacramento. Alright, let's get this show on the road. One last look on the outside. Beautiful airplane. And let's rock and roll. Put pressure on the stick. And let's do 50%. Start timer. Stable. Toga. Thrust is set 90.1. Airspeed is alive. 80 knots. Check. V1. Rotates. Debris. Air is up.
Delta 1446 over to you. Yeah.
Roger. Delta 14, correction, Delta 1342, airborne passing 7,000. Left direct scooted, will call passing 3,000. Sacramento traffic Delta 1342, state of passing 3,200 over Unicom. Last call. See it. Flaps going up. Oh, so Command A. We have some weather. Climbing out at the 370. Then we break out of these clouds shortly, hopefully. Breakout is normally very nice when you're flying through clouds and then you just break out above that and you see how bright it gets. There comes the breakout. That's 10,000 feet. 90 lights coming out. Ooh, nice and windy. Check out the flexing wings. And two, we have those mountain ranges below us as well, so that's going to cause some turbulent areas as we go through the flight. So we're to cross danger at or above 9,000. We are now well above that, 13,000. So we are well clear of the high terrain that will be below us. And we would need to be at least 13,000 feet, which is what these numbers represent. So once we make that left turn at danger towards Marcus, we'll be well above the terrain. We run the auto takeoff checklist. Auto takeoff checklist, flaps up, no lights, landing gear up and off. Anti-ice not required. Engine bleeds and pack are on and auto. Pressurization panel is checked. Engine start switches are off. And the APU is also off. After takeoff checklist is complete. Transition altitude, standard sets. Passing flight level 202 up to flight level 370. We are on our way up to cruise altitude, and weather should be pretty fine as we go further up in altitude. So we're going to turn on some music and enjoy the rest of the flight. Coming up to flight level 370. The wind is at our right quadrant and correction, our left quadrant, and we're getting a ground speed of 485 knots, which is pretty nice. We have the United that is behind of us at the same flight level. We may have to have some spacing things going on here just to give ourselves a little spacing so we can ensure we don't have anybody having to do any deviation while we're flying into Salt Lake this evening. Currently have 40 minutes left in the flight, 40 minutes left in the flight, so in the next 10-15 minutes or so we will begin our descent briefing, our approach briefing, so that we can ensure that we are ahead of the flight. Level up flight level 370, we'll turn the seatbelt signs off just so that our passengers can move about a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight, let's see your captain speaking. Seatbelt sign is now off. However, if you're seated, we ask that you keep your seatbelt completely fastened about you in the event of any unsuspected turbulence. We have about 40 minutes left in the flight, ladies and gentlemen, and we will begin our descent in a few. In a little while, we'll give you an update on the weather in Salt Lake City as we get ourselves prepared for that. Once again, thank you for choosing Gelto, and we hope to see you on a future flight. Great, so we will get ourselves set up in a little bit. There isn't any ATC online at the moment other than approach that bay. Now we may not even have to talk to them, so we should be fine going in. We just have to coordinate with our other pilots, which is fine. So on the network, sometimes you do have air traffic controllers that are flying along with us. Other times we don't, so there are frequencies that we have to use. So for example, when we left out of Sacramento a while ago, I was on frequency 125.70, and that was the CTAF. So with the onset of technology is just advancing. About a year ago, we had that thing where everybody had to be on Unicom, which is what we're on right now on 122.8. But they realized that that was becoming quite crowded, and so you'll be sitting on the ground in Sacramento and then hearing somebody in San Francisco making call-outs, which would make it a little bit difficult for people to get in, especially if it's supposed to be a group flight and there's no ATC. So to circumvent that, they instituted the CTAF, which is the airport tower frequency. So you just simply go on the airport tower frequency and announce your intentions there. So only the persons at the airport will hear you, which makes more sense. So once you get airborne, you switch to 22.8, which is the frequency that everybody else can hear you on. Because at that point, you're airborne and you will need to communicate with other persons that are around you. So once you get below 10,000 feet, then we switch over to the tower frequency once again, and we will alert whomever is in Salt Lake as to what we're doing. based on our current speed and projection, top of the set is 196 nautical miles, which is at 45 after the hour. Time now is 40 minutes. Sorry, time now is 21 after the hour. So in another 20 minutes or so, we'll have the top of the set. So in another 15 minutes, we will discuss what our arrival is going to be like and get ourselves ready for the arrival. So we'll enjoy the flight. The gates in Salt Lake for Delta are the A gates, and I'll be landing at Alpha 35. The simulator sometimes has the gates available, or you use you use FlightAware. FlightAware will tell you where the gates are. So when you check FlightAware, you'll have the gate that the aircraft is leaving out of and into, and generally those are the gates that they use. So some airports I do know because I've worked with Delta before, so you kind of have an idea of that. The local airports in the US are pretty simple. They are really kind of identified based on the airline, so to speak. So if you know, for example, you're landing at LaGuardia, you know the terminal they're going to, and there are certain gates that they will use because they may have a shared gate. Outside of that, you generally just have to find a gate, so to speak, unless you're able to check on Flight Radar 24 or the gate is available on flightaware.com. You won't really know those outside US airports. They don't have a specific gate for some of them. It's just wherever they can find the gate at the time. And look at that. So we have center online now. So this is going to be fun. Center on a 122, 125.575. 125. $125, $575.
That's the one you put in the tree bed.
Alexander, good evening. Delta 1342 with you, flight of 370, 27 miles west slope. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and do our approach briefing now, since the center is online, because it's chances are we're gonna get some vectoring and slowing down and all the kind of instructions, so it's great. So we're coming in via the Utes 2 arrival, and Salt Lake weather, current ATIS is information Tango, wind 270 at 6, 9 miles, rain in the area, and it's overcast at 2,900, so we have some low ceilings, and temperature 07, 2.06, altitude 297. And so information Tango and landing visual and Aylex limited 3-4 left and 3-4 right and 3-5, and so we're good. So Fleek and then Bonneville cross Knoll at 17,250 knots. That's already in the box. And Squat at about 14,000 use. Then we have Bush at 12,000. So we have Bush at 12,250 knots. And then Syrup at 11,000. And that is also in the box. So that's set up from the internal memory. And so since we have ATC will instruct us as to what we do, but we expect to cross at these once we get the descent down. More than likely we'll get descent via the Utes too. And so we'll expect to cross those. We're expected to cross these restrictions as they are depicted on the chart. Once we get down to SERP, then we'll get radar vectors. We expect radar vectors to runway 34 left, more than likely. I will have 34 right, just in the event that we get 34 right. Just in the event, so we'll have that set up as well. All right, then let's do our performance tool. And let's say runway 34 left, import, and all operational. Let's get the weather in. 280 at 6, so that's cool. And we'll do level 1. And so we'll need, we have 12,000 available. And required list is 8,954, which is more than sufficient. And when we check that, almost 9,000 feet. Wrong one. landing on runway 34 left,
Air Canada
9,000 feet, so we'll plan to exit at Alpha 8 or Alpha 9, then we backtrack and taxi via Bravo, more than likely, then to west south and taxi to our, which is just across here on concourse A Alpha. And Alpha 35. 2973.
17,250 knots, Delta 1342.
2973. That's set, and we're using level 1. And for the ILS approach, 434 left. For the ILS approach, it is 111.9. The final approach is 344. So let's do 111.9. 11190. 11190. And 344 is the final approach course. 344 twice. How do you do the altitude for the fix on the 73? Similar to what we said from before. Go into the fix page and this identifier is India Uniform Hotel. So India Uniform Hotel, and it is 344, and we're gonna do 15-mile ring. 344 with a 7-mile ring, but let's check and see when we're gonna get the glide slope on this. Glide slope is gonna come up at 5.5 miles, so by 7 miles we should be good. Great. All right, cool. So for this arrival, it is pretty much a straight in. The threats are gonna be the mountain ranges on both sides of the airfield, so we just have to be mindful of that. We'll be coming in over the mountain and then making a left to join the base for the localizer runway 34 left. Should we go missed, then we will climb to 4,800 feet, then climb a left turn to 8,100 feet outbound on the Wasatch VOR to Stocko in Radar 20 and then hold, and then approach will resequence us back for runway 34 left. Our final approach speed for today is going to be 149. So we'll put that in there. We're using flaps 30 for this evening. Flaps 30, 149. Then we have the runway identifier in the Uniform Hotel 111.9 in the navigate with 344 at the heading. .33 out from Fleek, so shortly we'll get the instruction to descend to cross if I can remember the name of the waypoint, descend across Knoll at 17,000. So that will be our instruction very shortly. Given that we have ATC online right now, we're still looking pretty good in terms of our forward speed, so we'll be fine. I don't think there'll be any issues. If there are issues, then of course ATC will definitely tell us, hey, you gotta slow down. Cross Knoll 17,250 knots, 1342. There's our instruction, so we'll set our MCP now to 1 for 170. 2973. So let's run through our descent checklist. Altimeters are 2, 9, 7, 3, and cross check on both sides. Radio and barrel altimeter bugs are, oh, no they're not. So we need to check. This was the last thing I was supposed to. And that is the barrel reference. And normally check that. So it is 200. 4,429 feet, but it would be 200 on the decision height. So 200 set, so that's now set. Airspeed bug set, anti-ice not required. Approach briefing is complete. Auto brakes level 1 set. Passenger signs are on. Pressurization. Oh, passenger signs coming on. Digital from the flight. This is the captain speaking. We'll begin our descent shortly. And current weather in the Salt Lake area. Winds coming out of the west northwest. Top winds. Visibility is pretty good. There's some rain in the area. So we expect some bumps on the way in. Once again, thank you for choosing Delta and flight to the pre-order aircraft for arrival. And so we have passenger signs are on, pressure pilot is set, exterior lights are set, and recall is checked. Descent checklist is complete. We are 3,600 miles from top of descent. Still at 45 after the hour. Time now is 41. So in approximately 3 minutes, we will begin our descent down to 17,000, crossing null at 250 knots, 17,000 feet. We're gonna listen to the engines on this thing when it begins to roll back, just so you can hear how beautiful this sounds.
Cross Carter at
I think I answered the question incorrectly, Stefan. When you talk about adding the on the legs page, I apologize. So on the legs page, you will put in the information, type it in the scratch pad, so 250 at 17,000, and then you just line select the right side where you need it to be, and you'll be fine. Get on top of this and listen to this rollback. So I know you guys can't see my face, but I am smiling from ear to ear because having been on the 737 as many times that I've been on the 737, just hearing those engines roll back in the descent, it sounds amazing. And so the next time you're on the 737 and you're sitting near the engines, especially if you're sitting on or just in front of the engines, listen closely for that at the top of descent and tell me if it doesn't sound eerily similar. So it's just really cool, really cool. Ooh, high rate of descent. Let's do a level change and let's get 7.78 as our .5 is gonna be the next controller, so we can go ahead and tune that just so that we don't have to be fighting for it once we get it. 135.5.
Canada after 7 to the area, and that's you're all 5.
Roger, so 250 knots and prioritize the speed out 1342.
It's a no just telling me for him.
Right, so what just happened is that because of our spacing, the controller told me to prioritize airspeed versus the altitude, just so that we can ensure we get down to 250 knots before getting to null, just to help out with the speed. And then he told our company aircraft to maintain 300 knots until null, and then once it gets to null, he reduces to 250 so that we both can have actually, let me do flight level change, which will give me a slower rate of descent, and that will drop our airspeed versus our descent. So we are 21 miles to null, and we're going to reduce our speed now with level change because the aircraft is now wanting to maintain the speed, and then we'll continue to descent down to 17,000. We should still be able to hit the target of 17,000 at null, so we're going pretty good.
Yeah.
35.5, thanks for the help. Bye-bye.
12463, you fell over 170 low into 50. I continue approach on the U2 arrival. Can we get Aylex on the triple F?
So the Arnav Zulu is gonna give us this, so we'll do that. Alright, great. So we'll set up for the Sonic approach. Good evening, Delta 1342 with you, descending through to 17,000. We're at 250 right now, 2973, and I expect the Arnav Zulu for runway 34 left. And you want us to be slower than 250, sir? Roger, Aylex 34 left out 1342. Okay. You want us to maintain 17,000 or continue descent on the Utes too?
Sorry about that. I sent the other
Continue descent with the Utes to 11,000 out 40, correction 1342. So we have our company in front of us. He is pretty close. So he's gonna have to vector us because of how close we are. So, let's see how interesting this is going to be. He said 250 should work. I don't want to slow down too much, and then he's gonna have an issue with speed. So I'll just maintain 250, and then if he has to vector us, then he'll just do what he has to do. And so the chart actually said that we are to expect the Zulu. So expect radar vectors to the Zulu, RNAV Zulu 134 approach from Syrup. But we have the Aylex already set up, so that will work. Let's see here. In route 2, maybe what I could do is do SLC, SLC, and I will do the RNAV Zulu in the event that he wants to give us that. Ooh, not before that. RNAV Zulu 3, 4 left. So that is in there in the event. So we can just simply jump to that if we need to. That's great. Cool. So that's kind of how you can back it up. So you have a second route, so the other route is in here. So in the event that we have to do the RNAV Zulu, I have both the Aylex and the RNAV available. So I can just switch and just activate it.
Maintain 9,034.6.
I'm going to reduce to 240. Tower 1905. Q05. Level at 11,000. I see why you couldn't give me the Arna, because we're too close to each other. So he'd have to, it's better to vector us so he can get in and then I can go behind of the company traffic. So got it. Controller shade.
Yes, sir, 150.
And we're into the soup.
Turn, left heading 070, 3046.
9,1342.
Intercept the localizer, 3046.
Approach checklist. Flight navigation altimeter checked. Chime switch has been cycled. Altimeter 2973 and cross checked. Approach checklist is complete.
Delta 1346 intercepted the localizer runway 34 left.
Left 0701342. There 3601342. Probably gonna be mad at me because I didn't follow 360. But let's see what happens. Clear Island 34 left report Delta 1342. Speed check flaps 1. Let's get some speed brakes in here, slow this airplane down before we get to the glide slope. Roger, down 170. Flaps 5. Speed check. Approach armed. Gear down. Oh, no, we will keep the gear up because we're still at 50 miles out. But we're pretty slow because of the speed restriction. Need the extra drag, so gear down. Collapse 10. Lap 25.
2500.
Check.
Tower
1905, thanks for the help. You have a good night. Bye bye. Salt Lake Tower Delta 1342, 7 miles, 34 left. 34 left, clear to land, number 2, Delta 1342. So that's 30. The landing lights coming on since we're cleared to land. And landing checklist. Landing gear is down 3 green, flaps 30, 30 green light. Speed brake is arm, green lights. Engine start switches are continuous. Landing checklist is complete. Alright guys, here we go.
Salt Tower ready, better keep your eye right, so ready, forward.
80, what is it? 84? $81.
$1,000.
Check.
$400. $200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Ooh, get down. Speed brake's coming up. 2 in reverse. Reverse lights green. Manual braking. Look at that departure.
Delta 1342, Salt Lake, contact ground 123.77.
12377, that's good.
FedEx to contact departure,
Ground, good day, Delta 1342 with you.
Delta 1342, Salt Lake Drive low. Should have, actually, it's going to fall down. So 1342, next Alpha, into 2 left, that's good.
Alpha 2 West, Delta 1342.
Delta 1342, looks like you missed Alpha there. You can take down Bravo on the 2 left. Good, I can come down.
take Alpha. Malik boy, I tell you, that's butter. I think that was a butter. That I didn't even realize I landed for a second there. That was pretty nice. That was I need to see what that landing rate is. Let me see what Delta said. Oh, psh, it looked like it was butter, but it was minus 297. Hey, I'll take it. I will take it. So we take 2 west, so we'll taxi all the way down and enter via that Alpha. Let's see what that is. So we'll take Alpha 5 and make a left. Okay, so we'll make a left at 2 west. I guess that's still Alpha 5, so we'll just follow that. Malik says minus 297 is nice and standard, but yeah, man. So pretty good. Actually, it felt when I was coming in, it felt really nice and smooth. So I figured it would have been a little less, a little lower than that. But like you said, pretty standard, pretty standard. So that's nice. That was nice. Let's call our GSX. So we're going to Alpha 35. I had a minus 600 Bogota the other day. A minus 600. Why a minus 600 though? That's pretty firm, man. Did you get called into the office? Ah, look at that. An hour and 18 minutes and it was time 118. Alright, so this is Alpha 6. We will take Alpha 5. We take Alpha 5, which is 2 west. Where's that echo? So make a left here. Where's our company going? Is our company next here?
At 238 Bravo, got a contact me before you start the taxi should have Bravo down to 2 west. Bravo to 2 west, just the ramp spot.
Party will turn right at spot 14 to the ramp. Thank you so much.
1346 turn right spot.
Ground was with you on the taxiway at Bravo.
Over 21 lower down lower you park.
How was this one of the trade?
Oh, so that's what that is. That's crazy. wow. Okay. So we crap. So we turned pretty early indeed. Yeah, ground. We're trying to go to Alpha 34. We realize what you're saying now. We were on Echo. Can we get can we go back around and get to Alpha 35, please? Say again?
And what was the call sign?
Delta 1342.
Yeah, Delta 1342, continue straight ahead and actually go back into 2 east.
Rogers. Taxi straight ahead, Golf to 2 East. Roger.
Delta 1346, coming to follow the company.
Yeah, Delta 1346, follow company, we go into 2 east. Okay. Alright, 21 follow the company, A320, down call. Just take the next left on there on the hotel, because you gotta move forward. Next to hotel, next to stop 113.
Clear left, clear right. Is there somebody in our gate? Surely is. Somebody is in our gate. And ground. Seems like somebody's at our gate, so we're gonna have to switch to a different gate, but we'll be fine.
Roger.
Water is not flushing. Water is rising. So Randy. Yes, you got what you doing in the bathroom now, man? You're supposed to be in your seat, sir. Alright, so let's switch to a different gate. So change to Alpha. The Alpha 33. Alpha 33. There we go. That's a heavy gate. I want to do that. Let's see. Probably go Alpha 37. Yeah, there we go. Alpha 37. No. Alpha 37 is just next there.
Alpha 4280, contact tower 119.05. 119.05, I think you stopped 1.3.
American 0818, ready for taxi. American 880, ready for taxi.
American 0818, total down a little information. Runway 24 right next to the hotel.
Information time over runway 34. And you repeat the taxi to
34 right via hotel.
V4 via Waesto.
Just a wee bit more. This is the point where you stay seated, guys. The aircraft has not come to a complete stop yet, and the seatbelt signs are not off. So Randy, you gotta keep seated, man. And we're stopped. Parking brake is set. APU on the buses. And we're good to go. So the flight was an hour and 47. That was the projected time, 1:47, and we got it 2 minutes early. I know, right? Let's just sit down. We're not there yet. People getting up and all kind of stuff. All right, good. So let's get the chocks on, and then we can call for GSX to do their thing. Deboarding. And there we have it. We are at the gate here in Salt Lake City, Alpha 37. Original gate was Alpha 35, but of course, Delta decides to put who they want, where they want, when they want. So we're at Alpha 37. And this is looking nice. I hear that every other week during my commute. Sit down, do not move as yet, because sometimes you could even get a whole short just before you get to the gate, and then people are trying to get up. Even when you're on the airplane comes to a stop, I don't get up, because especially if I'm sitting in coach, why am I standing up? Why am I gonna get up instead of have to wait so long before I could even move out? So I enjoy the seat. I paid for it, so I enjoy the time while I'm in the seat. So it is what it is. But there we go, guys. Thank you so much. It has been a fun flight. If I could get a proper view. There we go. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? There we go. All right. I think that's a better view. There we go. Right. So thank you so much, guys, for coming along with the flight today. My other colleagues, I appreciate them as well. The two Deltas, the United, and the ATC as well that came online. It was really, really good to have them as well. Sometimes even when you're flying offline, and even what we had to do some talking, try to coordinate with each other to get our flight down the way we're supposed to, and that's fine. It's really cool for us to have ATC, because that's where realism comes in. And so I am really happy that ATC came online once we came. We had the full complement. We went from center to approach to tower to ground, and that is the full experience. So guys, thank you so much for coming along. I appreciate you coming as well. Thank you for joining Malik and everyone else that came on and was chatting with us. And Sir Randy for not flushing the toilet. Thank you so much for joining. Until the very next time, guys, please have a fantastic week. Not very sure if I can get another flight in for the week. We'll try. It's a pretty busy season at work, so we'll try to see how best we can get another flight in. But thank you so much. If you haven't already done so, please click the subscribe button. It will really help the channel. Also hit the notification bell so you know the next time that we go live here on the Aviator 268. share with a friend, those who are interested in aviation as well, so that they can see what we're doing here. Until the very next time, guys, you have a fantastic week, and of course, keep the blue side up. See ya.